And welcome to the daily space weather. We see Sunspot 2743 degrading, another active region rising from the east. Socialism fails, and some other items to get to. So please tell your friends, tell your foes that we've gone live so that they can join in the live chat. We're going to give you 1 minute of lead time, and then we'll be right back to continue on with the space weather. All right, by the way, folks, all the memes and graphics and music are original on this channel, as I am a human multimedia machine. Anyway, there's the sun in 171 angstroms. Let's look at some other views here, as polarized magnetogram is interesting today, as we'll get a look at Sunspot 2734. There's the degrading and setting Sunspot 2734. Let's also look at 304 angstroms, as I did see some filaments. And the 304 angstroms view is quite good at showing those. So quite a bit of filamentary activity going on there, especially south of the equator. Check it out, man. Serious filaments. So the ones on the east look like they're associated with that rising active region. And for that reason, we are going to take a look at stereo A today. So stay tuned. There's a lot of more stuff to cover. Look at magnetic lines here in 94 angstroms. We see some bunched up lines there associated with that sunspot, as well as some open lines over here. So there's some, again, some activity rising there on the eastern limb. Let's look at the real-time solar wind, which is pretty weak during this solar minimum. All right, so there's the phi angle right now at about 267. Solar wind density 6.9 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed has just recently ramped up to 380. So still a pretty low solar minimum kind of levels there. Let's look at magnetosphere movies, as we typically do around this time of day, to archive 4 hours of the data. This model, courtesy of University of Michigan. Here's the density. We'll let that play through. Do see some anomalies going on the south side. If you look at the meridional plane view, nothing to really write home about. Here's the pressure, which, as you would expect, is pretty low with the low solar wind density, but it's pretty nominal right now, really. So nothing too exciting there. We archive 4 hours of this data each day on our channel. If you want to see other days, there should be about a year of that, as we've been doing space weather reports every day for over a year. If you missed them, go check out some reruns. Here are the ground geospace magnetic perturbations. And for you new viewers out there, you may want to be aware of the fact that we have two North Poles right now, and the South Pole's creeping into the southern Indian Ocean. Anyway, there are the ground perturbations, and we see considerable ones, including over Siberia, but mainly over the Canadian pole in the north, and again, the South Indian Ocean near Antarctica in the south. I wanted to share an interesting story about road safety with you, as this is not a normal segment, but we're going to cover this. I sent an email to PennDOT, and they responded pretty promptly. Not only that, they told me that they're moving my request for better lines. What I said was lines should be repainted and extra reflectors should be added on this exit because the old lines are no longer visible, especially in the dark. To make that worse, there's a road pitch issue, which makes it harder to see the lines that are painted. Again, they should be painted there. I'm surprised that nobody's crashed yet. In other words, it's difficult to be able to see when to brake right and make the exit. Perhaps additional lighting would also be helpful. They actually moved the job up the list. Do you believe that? Let's see if this loads. So she actually sent me a map of the job, which includes the intersection that I'm talking about. How do you like that? So shout out PennDOT. Nice job, PennDOT. Who thought a bureaucracy would be so efficient? Check out smAsho if you haven't. And please support the channel via the links in the description below this video, such as the Patreon. Thanks, patrons. You can find some public posts here also, so even if you're not willing to pay us $1 a month for these videos, you can still see our mission, which is to do things like assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of unified theory physics, and to raise awareness of the general public, and to connect and consult with media, and to demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems, and to publish scientific papers, and to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon, and to not be ossified in our beliefs. So please support the channel. Also, if you're into CBD products, please visit links in the description. You'll see the Spaced Out campaign specifically for our Spaced Out viewers. So get yourself some CBDs. It looks like the 1,000 milligram hemp seed oil suspended CBD whole plant is on sale, as well as some of the Kalki products and CBDs for your cat and fish flavor. Check out the Spaced Out campaign. Also, if you're getting spaced out on your bike and you need a new one, how about the Felt Bixby Men's 7-Speed Cruiser? If you're going to the beach, that's $375 well spent, as you will be in style. Check that out. Jeez. It's got a grip shifter. Man, oh man. This would be about my 1,000th bike. I don't have a dozen yet, though, folks, so I'm not quite in the market for this yet. Give me another 40 years. Anyway, check out theveloshop.net. That's our team. And if you want to sponsor the team and get on the jerseys this year or perhaps next, email at smashomash@gmail.com, and we'll see what we can do. Also, follow me on Instagram. It's got a little more personal stuff. You may even find a recipe. Check out this comfort cruiser I rode yesterday.
All right, so look at the possibility of putting aero bars on my newest time trial bike.
Check this thing out.
It's the Free Spirit Brittany. Oh my goodness.
You think I should put the aero bars down here
Or up in this area?
What do you think, folks? Do you think I should put aero bars on that women's comfort cruiser or no? Please leave a comment and let us know. Again, every little bit counts. So thanks also donors who donated on PayPal. Check out the music. It looks like Gem Cutter is up to number 25 on the subgenre, which is, I believe, rock instrumental list. Up to 28. Check it out. Add it to your MP3 collection for the low, low price of $1.25. Also, check out the SoundCloud page. There's some older stuff there. Some older stuff and some weirder stuff. Here, let me play you an example. Here's some weird stuff. I don't think I've ever featured this one on the channel yet. Pretty much a rage song. A live performance rage song. All right, you guys don't want to hear that. Anyway, let's move on to the synoptic map here. We're back to looking at the sun. Again, sunspot 2743 is setting and degrading. Few filaments around, some apparently trailing that sunspot. I didn't really see those in the view that I was looking at. And the map is missing some filaments down in this area, but whatever. 10.7 centimeter radial flux is up to 68. I think it was there yesterday also, which is still solar minimum conditions, really. And that sunspot is a cycle 24 sunspot. So perhaps we'll look at cycle 25 evidence at the end of the video on solon.info, as they have a great resource there. There's the X-ray flux, nothing going on. Some spikes in the magnetometer there. Some disparities in the GOES 14 versus the GOES 15, as well as some jagged spikes. Those low levels probably associated with that active region rising, which is pulling back the B field. We'll look at it from a line of sight view in a minute. Here's the KP index, which is at 2. Electron flux, super low and perturbed. So that's an interesting one to watch now. In fact, and the F2 layer very discharged. Look at that giant red blob there, where there is no F2 layer. There's just an F layer over Western South America. The sun portion side is looking pretty normal for the solar wind conditions that we're seeing. And it's scrolling on its own, folks. No charging hazards whatsoever. And I swear this page, it loves to scroll by itself. And relativistic electrons still very low. We won't get into that too much here. And let's take a quick look at the total electron content. You don't always check this out, but you're going to see stellar GPS performance even at noon at the equator. If you're familiar with GPS function, that very low level of electron flux is giving you pretty clear signals, folks. So you're probably only at about 1 meter or 2 of error at any point on the planet. And if you're watching from a different planet, please leave a comment. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and thanks for taking the time to leave a comment. We appreciate it. And let's get into some more data, as there's still a lot of stuff to cover. No real need to look at any of this stuff, although there is a solar wind stream predicted from another coronal hole. So we'll look at the Enlil spiral real quick. Let's see. Prediction is for an increase in the velocity on the 27th, about midday. So, but these look like very small, weak little coronal hole wind streams here. And not expecting to see very much action as a result of those in terms of things like KP index. We're going to look at the line of sight field plot here for a minute. So you can see the effects of that active region rising and its effect on the B field, which is shown in blue. A B field is the magnetic field that goes through a magnet, in this case, the magnet being the sun, and indeed the entire planetary disk and your face, because your face is inside that field too, believe it or not. Let that sink in. Don't take it too seriously, folks. Anyway, we see a bit of a South Pole effects here. And that's probably a pulling action based on that sunspot, as the sunspots perturb this B field. Here's the line of sight, the top view, which we usually look at most days. And we're going to see continued weakness in the GOES magnetometer as this area right here is very bunched up plasma. So probably going to be coronal hole free there for the next day or so. But there is this active region rising right about here, and we will look at stereo A momentarily. In fact, how about let's do it immediately? Just kidding, folks. I didn't know what the next slide was. Anyway, here's a corona graph out at stereo A, and we should see some stuff going on this on both ends. Now, the Earth would be facing to the right, as the right side solar wind out here is where you should be located, unless you're tuning in from a different planet, solar system, galaxy, universe, plane of existence, etc. In which case, please leave a comment, as we are interested in knowing if you're from Quartok, the Nine Hells, Gehenna, the Andromeda Galaxy, or perhaps you're on vacation from Deneb. Anyway, there's stereo A. That's the 24th through the 26th at 6:24. So very new data there. And you can see that big plasma plume. That's what's causing the weakness in the magnetometer, as we don't get a very direct connection to the corona, as that plasma is creating a capacitance in between the Earth and the sun in terms of magnetic fields. So anyway, that's what's going on in the most recent day or two at stereo A. And I'll show you where that's located for you new viewers who aren't aware. Here's a solar system. Here's Earth. Stereo A is located back here, about 3 months, 4 months behind the Earth's orbit. To view the back side of the sun, we also have one called stereo B out here, which took damage in 2014 and no longer works properly as a result. Anyway, here's where things will be in 1 week, just after new moon. Be approaching that Saturn conjunction. And let's look at a star chart, see what's going on above my head. Draw your own at in-the-sky.org. Put in your zip code or whatever, your city. Draw in the ecliptic. So Venus just rose and Saturn's just about to set, and the moon's up near its apex. If you have a low horizon, there's a lot of great astronomical photos to be taken. And I do plan to buy a telescope. So believe it or not, folks, more content to come. And just wait till the channel goes full time. We've got a lot of things to disseminate. Anyway, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook. All of those at smAsho. If it makes it easier for you to share our videos, we may not interact too much. Although we just started interacting on Gab, so check it out, gab.com/smAsho. There's our first post. Put it in during show prep. Thanks again for tuning in, the Smash team. Shout out Smash team members. Roll call, yo. Also, check us out on Minds, minds.com/smAsho, the social media that will not censor you. It's open source, and you may even earn Ethereum if you get enough views. We're approaching 500,000, so if you're not on minds.com, join up. They're getting pretty good at filtering their not safe for work content with the splash screen, so it's getting pretty good, folks. Getting pretty good. We're at about, I think we're approaching 500,000 active users on that platform also. Thanks, one subscriber that we've gained since yesterday. If you're viewing, please leave a comment and tell us if you're friend or foe. We don't mind either way. Earthquake update. We saw largest quake in the past day was in Panama. But first there was a 4.7 in Indonesia, 4.5 in Bolivia at depth. Shout out people around the Andes. You've been getting deep quakes, so be prepared for a larger one at the surface, like around a 5.5 in that area. You got some volcanic activity going on in the Aleutians too, with a stratospheric level explosion there. Here's a 4.7 off of Kamchatka, as we saw a 6+ magnitude quake there. I think it was yesterday. 4.4 Chile. Also at depth, beware of a larger quake at the surface in South America. If you're on the West Coast, shout out. 4.4 at Indonesia. 4.5 at Indonesia. That one's deep. Ring of Fire. 4.9 to South Sandwich Islands. Those used to be rare. Now we see about one a week. We saw one yesterday also. Here's a 4.6 at Indonesia. Here's a 4.8 at New Zealand in that rift where that 7 emanated. Another 4+ magnitude off of Oregon. Looks pretty far out in the ocean. Please leave a comment if you felt that one and if your mother-in-law's photograph fell off the wall and smashed on the floor. 4.7 in the Central Atlantic Ridge. 4.6 in Peru. And there's that 6.4. Off the coast of Kamchatka, it looks like. There's the location of that. The Aleutian Island chain pointing right at it. And again, we saw a big volcano kicking off there. All right, and what else do we have here? We have maps that are zooming in. Oh my gosh, what is going on? Jeez. Jeez Louise. Also a 4.6 in the same location, a 5.7 at the Solomon Islands. Heads up Oceania. 4.5 at Russia, also at right around that same spot, east of Kamchatka. 4.9 at Indonesia. 4.6 at Russia. Right at the end of the Aleutian chain. And this one looks like it did some damage, a 6.2 Panama. Please leave a comment if you're located in Panama. We are hoping that a giant chasm doesn't open in the earth and suck up your town. How about a 4.5 in Russia? And so that's the largest quake there, and it probably did some damage. It's fairly populated there. Here's a location of this. Please leave a comment if you were in this quake. Anyway, there's that location. Let's move on to volcanoes immediately and get through this video before volcanoes roam the earth again. And dinosaurs try to eat your children. Anyway, we see a Bico producing a 10,000-foot ash plume. And here's Rakoke. Now, Rakoke is located right there. We're on windy.com now. So anyway, that's where Rakoke is located. This little tiny island in the Aleutian chain. And that is producing a not so little ash plume. Now, we're not seeing any sulfur dioxide coming out of there right now. But Anchorage was actually issued a volcanic ash warning due to the wind direction. Windy's being difficult. All right. So anyway, 38,000-foot ash plume there, that's high enough to get very close to, if not in the stratosphere, as this is located very far north. Also, Ulawun, which is back on the list, and I never heard of it. 50,000-foot ash plume there, apparently. And it suddenly erupted, just like a few other volcanoes suddenly erupting with no warning. That's what we call a volcanic uptick, folks, and these are global cooling factors. Dacono, continuously exploding and producing a 7,000-foot ash plume for days, weeks, and months. Popocatépetl has dispersed the emissions. Sangay, 19,000-foot plume there. Provenador, 17,000-foot plume there. Explosive activity at all three of those, the third of which is Sabancaya with a 24,000-foot plume there. Please do not attempt to do a forward roll over Sabancaya. But if you do, don't forget to yell cannonball. Anyway, there's a location of Sabancaya, if you weren't aware. And I'm not sure so much sulfur dioxide there, but anyway, that's where that's located. Don't fly your ultralight aircraft over it, as it will be an unhealthy day. All right, anyway, let's move on here. Some more interesting stuff to cover. Check out the Lehigh Valley weather. Now, this is where I'm located, eastern Pennsylvania. The hottest days of the year are here. Actually, they're a little late. Let us know if it's globally warm where you are, as the entire northern hemisphere received record snowfall 2 years in a row and broke practically every temperature record imaginable in terms of low temperatures. Summer heat finally arrives, although it's the latest start since 1982 to get a 90-degree day, folks. That's because the temperature didn't reach that mark that time until mid-July that year. And that data dates back to 1939. So in the average year, we see the first 90-degree day around May 30th. And we're predicting August 27th to be the last 90-degree day of the year. I don't know how they're predicting that far out, but whatever, man. But links to the article if you want to share another report about how spring is barely sprung. And kids are not doing that because it's like 56 degrees outside right now. Apparently, here's another story about how warm the globe is. And we've got links to this article in the description also. Part of the Pacific is not warming as expected. But why? The reason why is because you have carbon dioxide in your models. That's literally the reason why, folks. I mean, I don't know if did you ever hear of garbage in, garbage out? Let's see if that's a known term. I'm pretty sure it's well known. This is a programming term that we use because when you put crappy data in your computer program, you get crappy results. It describes the concept that flawed or nonsense input data produces nonsense output or garbage, which is what these climate models are because they don't include the correct solar forcing variables, and they do include carbon dioxide as some sort of temperature forcing variable, which is not a thing. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say besides carbon dioxide is not a greenhouse gas in terms of affecting the Earth's temperature. Let's move on to the U.S. Doppler radar, one of our value-added services. Anyway, there's your early view. And Nebraska's getting hit again with some vicious storms, probably producing damaging wind, hail, and possibly tornadoes. And we also see some snow in the northwest corner of Wyoming. Yeah. This looks like a bad one. And let's see. This area right up here in the northwest corner of this thing is where the tornado would be hiding if there is one. Heads up, Omaha. It's coming your way. Hunker down, Omaha. There's some nasty stuff. Let's give you a close-up so you get the correct direction here. This is a water vapor map, courtesy the NASA GOES interactive weather satellites. And you see a series of, really it's about 5 sets of moisture there. Heavy rain coming down. When you see this moisture vanish, that's an indication that rainfall has happened. Buckets of it in areas that are already heavily flooded. So we would like to see those areas dry out, folks, but sadly, a lot of this water goes right into the Mississippi River, ensuring that flooding following record snowfall 2 years in a row will continue downstream, providing continued crop losses and lack of planting in the worst year of planting in U.S. history. Anyway, here's the lightning map associated with it. Again, Omaha, heads up. you got incoming. And Fremont, you're going to see it first, as there's thunder rolling in right now. Check it out. lightningmaps.org. That's an ass, and that is a hole in the ground section. Talk about corporatism. Corporatism is the organization of a society into industrial and professional tyrannical corporations serving as organs of political representation and exercising control over persons and activities within their jurisdiction. Companies such as Apple, Google, Facebook, and Twitter are attempting to exert a force of
corporatism
upon the U.S. political system, and they're attempting to
supersede
your vote by affecting things like your Google searches. So to avoid corporatism, we suggest using DuckDuckGo as your internet search instead, since it doesn't track you. It doesn't store your personal information. It doesn't follow you around with ads. And most of all, it returns objective search results, unlike Google, which is a political hack organization. Something I've been saying since 2016. Have you been listening? No? Apparently, Google's been calling people like Dennis Prager and Ben Shapiro Nazis. And it's proven. We'll leave links to the Project Veritas video on BitChute at the end, so you can go view the video yourself. And to make things worse, Google is trying to prevent, quote, another Donald Trump situation. It's a known thing. If you haven't heard about it, we've been reporting on it for a long time. So die well, Google, despite living so foully. You zombie organization. You should probably have people operating your stuff instead of algorithms, because you have garbage in and garbage out. Speaking of zombies, Facebook. Who needs the government when big tech will censor you for free? Anyway, thanks again for joining, everybody, and taking the time to leave a comment. We got some more stuff to get to here, so bear with us. I love this commentary by Ask an Observer. Ask an Observer is like, I live on a volcanic crater. And another viewer is like, isn't that a bad place to be? And Ask an Observer says, nope, but I figure if she cracks open, I don't want to be any lower or want to survive. Consider me a sacrifice in waiting. Yes. We have a great comment section. smAsho staff is constantly amused by it. So cheers. Oh, man. You should call it MDMA instead of calling it E. Then you'll avoid the pitfalls of getting tainted drugs. Discord account. Yeah, there's too many social medias right now, folks, and there needs to be one besides Facebook that's popular. I'm still saying it's going to be Minds. I don't know. Open source. I mean, it's pretty much entirely free. If you don't do anything illegal, you won't get banned or shadow banned or censored in any way. Anyway, trying to get through the comments here, folks. Thanks for leaving so many. I apologize if I can't answer everything. If there's anything important, again, send an email, smashomash@gmail.com. What is Lizard Island? Let's talk about socialism. When the government tries to control the economy, guess what happens? Black markets form. Part of the reason why we have organized crime in the US is because of prohibition. Links to this article also, as the government cannot control the economy. It's impossible. No matter how much the government tries to control the economy will figure out ways to emerge from underneath that attempt at control. It doesn't work. It's never worked. It never will work. And the more you try to control it, the more the smart money will flee that control system. Anyway, read the article if you don't believe me. It's got some good stuff in it. NASA to open some sealed moon rock samples that have not been opened since the Apollo missions. Check it out. It looks just like a fractal of the moon surface. Look at that. Looks like straight up concrete. And I'm totally going to share this. All right. Thank you. Check it out. That's believed to be the oldest rock collected during the moon missions. Links to that article also. Tidal tails detected around dwarf galaxy DDO 44. And my only take on this is that they're confused about the fact that they think gravitational accretion is in charge of the way these things behave. And since it's not, they're perplexed. But anyway, we got a dwarf galaxy here, and it's pretty interesting. There are jets affecting the other galaxies and pulling stars and dust out via electromagnetic fields. And lastly, here's the Project Veritas video. I'm just going to put it to a random spot and not get banned. Maybe.
I can type here.
Hillary Clinton's emails are doesn't even give you a result.
Google is suggesting that.
So when you used to type in Hillary Clinton's emails are, it wouldn't even give you a result. But when you use other search engines, you'd get one. Anyway, links to this video also in the description. Let's talk about the solar polar fields. These are what are really in charge of the solar cycles. If you don't know about the solar polar fields, I can't talk about them right now because there's too many things to do today, and we've got to move on here. But check out solon.info. You'll find a lot of very interesting information. Again, 10.7 centimeter radial flux, steady at 68 for the last 2 days. And let's look at cosmic rays. I totally forgot about it, but there's the tab, so let's do it. Cosmic rays, here's Apatity. There's Barentsburg, still at high levels there. Here's Athens, Greece. Nothing to write home about there. Look at Mexico City and Moscow. There's Mexico City. There's Moscow. Some wild fluctuations there at Moscow, pretty high on the range there too. And here's Oulu and Antarctica, C and B. There's Oulu, DOMC Antarctica, DOMB Antarctica. Anybody wants to see any transients from the hard X-ray transient monitor, such as Sagittarius A star, leave a comment, and we'll do it. All right. One last little section here. We're going to talk about Sky Scholar real quick. Please watch his videos. Dr. Pierre-Marie Robitaille is interested in the real science about things like what the sun's made out of. It's let's talk about things like electron affinity. But let's let Robitaille talk about liquid metallic hydrogen for a second.
Which acts as a weak semi-metal. It also possesses a hexagonal planar structure, but one which is somewhat less compressed than the more metallic type 2 hydrogen found in interior layers. It is this graphite-like liquid metallic hydrogen structure which emits heat energy as light into space.
Anyway, the theory is that the sun operates on electron affinity and electron availability. And so if you understand that, it's pretty basic physics, really. It's a better theory than a nuclear dynamo being inside the sun and it being made of a gaseous plasma, because it fits the observations. So anyway, check out the Sky Scholar channel. It is on our featured channels. If you head to youtube.com/smAsho and go to our endorsed channels or featured channels or whatever we're calling them this week, you'll find links to the Sky Scholar channel and all kinds of crucial, groundbreaking cosmology stuff. Remember, the sun is the Rosetta Stone of the universe. We use the sun and what we think we know about it to apply to all other celestial bodies. So if you have it completely wrong how the sun operates, what does that do to the rest of your models? Does that create a garbage in, garbage out situation? I'm going to have to refresh the SDO page because it's showing old data. All right, screw it. We're giving you 9 hours of this, and we're getting out of here. How about the 335 angstroms view? We look at this rarely, but it looks nice and cold like the weather. Not to be confused with the Soho 171 angstroms view. And this is 9 hours of solar activity. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. We are out of here. And remember, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink. And if you drink, stare at the sun anyway. Just don't drive. Here's this active region. So a little bit of activity rising there, something to keep an eye on throughout the day. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.